extra hard to make sure we have it. Still, good job. And then we have to put the new lights on the front. My bet is if we went straight to that thing right there, the problem is let's get stuff on the Shaws are doing well. Good. Yeah. They're so sweet. They love my little girl. They're like so sweet. Thank you. My little lady. She turns 5 tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, she goes to It was really different. My hand was off. And they get to high school.
Did you sign some No, I did not. I was looking on there.
You know what my dad used to tell me? When I would ask him something or he'd ask me something, we'd be talking, you know, he says, quickly before I figure out that I really know something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Give me a little time. You'd be surprised how much I'll learn.
Rubbed off for sure. That's good.
Yep, it works for that.
That's like anything. Everybody does a little bit, makes the job a lot easier. You really want to improve communication, get everybody involved.
It takes a while for these.
It was up.
Did you push power? It says shutting down. That's a good question. Well, this is the program with
Except for associated with the deputy, just in case I misbehave. I think this is on.
So I sit as close to the door as possible. Always have an I knew I said the right spot. Something I learned in the airport. Always have an out, right? First thing I do when I get on an airplane, I'm like, where's the quickest way? Where's the quickest way? Yeah. We both memorize where they're at. Where's my wife? So how many rows do we have? Yep. I forgot the one. No excuses.
No, actually, like, yeah.
If anyone to saddle anybody with it, my father wanted to go on.
Yeah.
I started making phone calls today. I was up and down all day today. semester.
Yeah, no, he said he would handle everything. I said, you know, we do trust him. Because what'll happen is we'll get, that's right, he'll get it. He'll get his benefits on all of it. Yes.
Shutting on.
Then we have electron charges all the way up. Just run them.
You didn't hang that or whatever, just, you know.
It's like we used to give our tests. Number 2 is
Which one is the yellow one? Put it in now. Put it in this one. Nothing has to show. And then put your name and address and then sign. No.
Did you read my last email?
Yeah. I always
Yeah,
think
just,
I am going
yeah, just do that, make sure you sign it. Yep, that white envelope.
I don't know how to do it.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying that.
It just gives me a question. Why do you insist on somebody else doing it?
Right. Be local.
Well, that's what I didn't mention.
It was. And they had wine tasting. You know, we had wine tasting.
No, there's a thing in
This is
Claremont,
kind of what I was
you
sure.
can go in and have, they do like a monster truck right for an hour. And then they have like this orange wine and all kinds of vegetables.
Yeah, what's it orange?
And like, I really have tried to go in. Listen, we need to go. I went to this in
Lake
Canada.
Ridge.
Well, there's a winery up there, Lake Ridge Winery in Claremont.
It's all right, it's big time.
I got 4 bottles.
Has everybody signed in
Wasn't worth
that's
it.
already in here? Is there anybody who has not signed in?
They're confused.
You can doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That's what they said, it doesn't matter. Because
Either one of them got full, so I pulled another one out.
Oh, I'm having problems with that, yeah.
You know that? She did. That's the
Don't have to be good service up here or have
This be the black box we're talking about? Either one, or just?
Yeah, either one.
Okay.
All right, how are you doing? Good, and you? You're good.
Doesn't matter which box is, how are you?
Or the inspector found something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris, you're right here.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
But not redo all these, just reconvene later. We have approximately.
Wow.
Everybody signed in? everybody. Everybody's got signed in, correct? I know you're gonna hear me say that a few times. Does anybody have any proxies that you need to turn in? Okay. What we're gonna do, we can't officially start the meeting till we know if we have a quorum. So we're gonna go do the count to see if we have a quorum with the proxies and the people that we have in attendance right now. While that's gonna take a little bit of time to establish if we have a quorum, the grounds committee is gonna talk about, one second. The grounds committee is gonna go ahead and talk to you guys about and get some feedback from the group on some issues that we've been having and try to just have a little bit of communication as to what, while we have a good selection of the community here on some ideas they have. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering why we're not doing the count in an open forum like we normally do.
Supposed to be.
I didn't
Doing it
say
right here.
we're gonna do it right here. Okay. Yeah, we're not going anywhere, we're just gonna do it here,
I thought you
instead of you guys
meant-
having to sit here and wait while we count it.
Okay, I thought you meant in the office.
Nope, he's gonna do it right here on this table.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I turned in a proxy earlier today in the event that I wasn't able to make it.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to notify somebody?
What we're gonna do is on the spreadsheet, we have it, and if you've
Perfect.
signed in, we'll note that you're
Thank
here,
you.
and it will cancel your proxy
Thank
because
you.
you're here in attendance.
Perfect.
Excuse me. My name is Brian Trago. I am one of the folks that works on your grounds committee here in North Shore Lake Park. I've been with the committee 150, 180 days. I spent probably 3 years on the ARB committee. I'm gonna go through just a few slides, let you know kind of what we do, where you as homeowners can help us, and let you know there's gonna be some opportunities in the near term, maybe the next 120 days-ish, where you could help us further. Before I forget, email addresses. If the office doesn't, if you're not getting an email a week from North Shore Lake Park, that means you're not on the email list. I think we're at 45%, I think is the last word I heard. It's a great communication tool. You lose your dog, everybody knows. Somebody loses their dog, everybody knows. They need help, everybody knows. The playground is down, the pool is down. It's a great communication method. We're reaching far too few people through that method. It's cheap, costs almost no money. It's a great method. I'm gonna mention it half a dozen times, 10 minutes easily. As with all of the committees, North Shore Grounds Committee is volunteer based. Currently there's 4 of us. We have a board of directors liaison is John Dick. He helps us communicate with the board. He brings us information. We send information back through John. He helps coordinate, helps keep us in line with respect to rules and the things that the expectations of the board of directors. Our tasking, the scope of our committee, is largely to support the board and to support the office manager, Lisa. If she needs something from us, if there's a problem in the neighborhood, if there is, I'm gonna use the word compliance, is probably not the right word, if there's issues with a vendor, the landscape, pool, something like that, sometimes that information will flow to us. Sometimes she'll ask us to check on stuff with her, sometimes we'll flow information to her. But essentially, we exist to support the board of directors. The common area manager, which is Lisa again, she sends us problems. We do a lot of talking about making observations around the neighborhood, what isn't getting done from a maintenance perspective, what kind of upgrades and things we could be doing to keep up with our neighbors, all the new growth here. We meet every 2 to 4 weeks-ish, depending on everybody's schedules. Come help out. There is an email, I believe, where did Lisa go? Grounds, Lisa?
Yes.
Grounds@northshore@lakepark.org
Yes.
is the email address. If you send an email to that, it will make its way to Lisa and it will make its way to me. I got one of those emails just yesterday that I haven't had a chance to chase down yet. We had intended to have the slides up on a screen for you, a little better, easier to follow along, but. Here's some major observations on the part of the grounds committee. I'm sure everybody here will agree. Look how much growth is going on around us. The apartment complex across the way over here, I have not personally been there. From what I understand, they have a little movie theater and a giant pool and tons of amenities. Brand new neighborhoods everywhere. My wife is a realtor wannabe. She drives around and looks at houses all the time. Everything that's going up out here has 5 times the amenities that we have. It's nicer. It's bigger, it's better maintained, in my opinion. Our vendors are doing a good job. Vendors can always do a better job. Vendors always do a better job when people are watching, when people are keeping up with what they're doing. The scope of contracts changes. As we improve things, contracts need to get better. The compliance with those contracts needs to get better. That is some of the stuff that we do as the grounds committee. And again, that's in a support role, or the director's actively engaged, in addition to Lisa, obviously. This road, if you guys are watching development up on Narcoossee, huge box stores coming. This road is gonna be a race course in probably a year. It's already a race course someday. If I walk my dogs back and forth, if I could get my cell phone out fast enough and hang out to the dogs and take pictures, I would do it. It's going to get worse. Somebody told me we clocked somebody plus 50 miles an hour or something out here a couple of times. It's gonna get a lot worse. They're doing work over here on Moss Park Road, scope of which I guess is still being determined, John? If they make Moss Park Road ugly, how's everybody gonna get to those box stores? They're gonna shoot straight down this road, faster than they're doing it now, and they're gonna hit people. Somebody's gonna get hurt. That's something I personally am concerned about. The committee shares my concerns. That's something we're gonna be working on. People nodding, we're thinking about it, right? Come help. You got ideas? We're gonna need to make some changes. There was talk of closing off this road. I think at this point that's pretty stagnant. I don't think that's making progress. It's like we're not getting any further away from that. I don't think we're getting any closer. I think we're kind of just standing back waiting. And I think most of that was imposed on us. Gate upgrades. Your personal gates in and out. People hit them. People tailgate people in them. People drive around them. There's tire marks in the grass around half the gates in this neighborhood. They need some work. They're obsolete. They're nearing their end of life. They got to be replaced. That's in process now. The studying the front end work is in process right now. You guys will be hearing more about that. There's going to be another neighborhood survey. When did we do that last survey? Year and a half-ish, year ago, the first one?
About a year ago.
About a year ago. There's another one coming. The committee and I have been working on it. 4 or 5 iterations of it, lots of discussion. That's something. Give suggestions, email suggestions. What kind of, we're gonna have questions, I can't remember how many there's
We
gonna be.
had 9 questions, it was completed in February, we're just waiting for email addresses, so please, give us your email addresses.
We mentioned we need email addresses. 9 questions, and there'll be white space for writing in, typing in other input. If we haven't thought of it, you wanna see it, you wanna hear about it, you want us to hear about it, by all means, put that stuff in there, please. And when you bring your email addresses down here, email 5 of your friends with you. It's cheap, it's easy. And that's gonna be the primary method of sharing that survey, by the way. Replacement of the main landscaping, head to toe, both ends of the street. It's 10, 11 years old now? 13 years old now, and it looks, most of the landscape in the common areas, entering into your individual neighborhoods, in front of the gate, behind the gate, and the whole main boulevard. It needs refreshing badly. It's not a cheap project. That's something we're starting kind of a mapping system, so we can tell the vendor, need attention here, and beginning maybe to get some bids to replace a lot of that. Street resealing happened 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe it wasn't that long. Call it 3 or 4 years ago. Street resealing needs to be done again. I don't have all the details. From what I understand, our asphalt is not thick enough.
No, the latest survey confirmed that the asphalt's in good shape and the ceiling will extend its life.
Okay.
So I know we've had, reviewed that and had that interaction with Ford. I think they're probably gonna be talking about when they're getting quotes to be able to do the ceiling so that we can keep our reserve money in the bank and earning some interest for a few more years before we have to finally break down and mill and repave our private streets, the streets behind the gates.
Okay. So that's something you may see again here probably when it cools off, and in conjunction with another project here, we're looking at some parking issues in the neighborhood. Some of you in some of your neighborhoods, you'll see you can't get an emergency vehicle anywhere in some of these streets. There's one little section in Mallard Landings. It's getting a little better lately, but probably 150 yards worth. You can't get down there. How a fire truck will get in and out of there, I don't know. The bottom line is somebody's gonna get hurt if they can't. So we're looking into how we can do something about that, whether it be a targeted approach or whether it be neighborhood-wide, but you'll be hearing some more about that as well. With that grounds committee email address, or call the office or come by the office or come to a grounds committee, or a grounds committee meeting, post it out front on that sandwich board. Looking at doing a little better posting, a little better area to post that as well. Come to a meeting, throw out 5 suggestions and go home. You don't have to hang out for the hour that we're sitting. Come help out. You will see areas in your neighborhood. I got the email I did get the other day, said something about a whole area not getting mowed. Come tell somebody and help us out. And we can help figure out, is it something we should be mowing, or is it golf course? A lot of times those things get close enough together that you can't tell who's responsible for it. We can help do that, and it also turns us onto a problem we need to do something about when contracts come up for rebid or renegotiation. I mentioned some short-term volunteering. Landscape, if somebody's got landscape design background, somebody knows a lot about plants, somebody likes doing landscaping, come and help out. We won't need you every couple of weeks. We might need a couple 3-hour meeting one Saturday, walk the boulevard and look at plants and talk about some stuff. You can just come as a homeowner. You can come observe a meeting. You don't have to be on the committee to come give suggestions by any stretch. Email addresses. Last time I was going to say it. All right, anybody have questions? We've got 3 of us here from our committee. We'll try to answer questions. John has lots and lots of history in the neighborhood. Sir?
What was the email again?
grounds@northshore@lakehart.org. Thank you. So it's our website, just grounds@ in front of it.
And that should work for every committee, ARB, compliance, BOD.
But if we're, I'm sorry, but if we're already getting emails from you, then
So give it 5 year front.
Well, the email that he's talking about is they tell us about problems on the ground.
Sorry.
If you are getting emails from Lisa, that means you are in the populated list. So when we do have survey info results, whatever to send out, if you're getting an email now, you'll get those. But anybody that's sitting here, if you haven't received an email, and the easiest, for instance, Lisa literally sent out about a dozen emails about tonight, about reminding people about this meeting. So if you didn't get any emails about tonight, she doesn't have your email address. Please give it to her before you leave tonight so we can communicate better.
I was to ask, there's obviously a big concern about the traffic. It is the rate of traffic, you say, I won't be why was there no more bigger emphasis on putting the guards at the front? There was a plan went forward, I believe, or was a suggestion to
block off the road.
Put guards 24 hours on both sides, Kirby Smith and then. And then you wouldn't need to replace the gates. But if you're starting to replace the gates, that means that's not going to go because you're going to be wasting money. So I don't understand why it suddenly stopped after there was a big hoo-ha about it. Everybody was excited about it, and then it just fell apart. Why was that?
I did, and Jennifer, maybe we thought we can address that. You know, we approached the county a couple of years ago on behalf of gating at North Shore Gulfport Boulevard. Jennifer Eaglet, who's the principal of the Orlando Law Group, can weigh in as well. The county gave us a list of about 24 checklist items to fulfill to start serious consideration for the boulevard to be gated in. I believe that we successfully completed all 20-something plus, and then the county raised the hurdle. County Commissioner Jennifer Thompson said after we did that, I think they were surprised. Part of it was, do we know how to maintain a road? Absolutely, we maintain all the interior roads. Are we fiscally sound to afford to maintain the boulevard? Yes, we were. Is this something our residents wanted? In the first survey, it came out pretty overwhelmingly. Not saying we're gonna do it and spend the money, but we got all the go signs to it. And then the last criteria they gave us was we had to have all of the adjoining communities agree to support us gating in the boulevard, which is absurd. We're not gonna get it done. Those are the same people that are cutting through and not respecting our community. We've had 2 golf carts completely T-boned with people sent to the hospital in a crosswalk. I came in this morning, the woman jumped the median and the roundabout, zipping through it. She had to be going 70, maybe 65, maybe 75. So it was an important thing for access. I think it did very favorable to our home values. But I think Jennifer.
Yeah, the main issue was that they thought that people in the community were against it. So we've talked about this at a couple different board meetings, and we've asked residents if they want to do that. Your county commissioner needs to hear from you because she only heard from a few
handful of people were very vocal and said that the community didn't want it. There's all sorts of absurd information that we were gonna lock Sparrow Landing out of the community. Heron Point would not be included. We would not gate in the boulevard without Heron Point being included. You know, we went through all the work to save the island of landscaping from being demolished. It seemed like it was a really good idea, and that was before the 20-something thousand homes got announced northeast of us. So the folks that want it, we can scream for it, but I think at this point the county is counting on this to be a major cross thoroughfare. And it's gotten bad. It's gotten so bad that we're going to direct Jennifer to ask the county commissioner to put a stop sign at the roundabout now, to which Corporal Ramsey and his fine team will vigorously enforce. But the speeding is horrific. We've had people drive up on the sidewalk during the time the kids walk to school but pass the crossing guard. I mean, you just can't reason with folks behaving. It's really hard to put in speed bumps.
It's pretty stupid though, isn't it? I mean, you
I
gotta
agree.
you know, I mean, you could have Kirby Smith, you know, make 11 done Kirby Smith.
Well, the grounds committee is putting together some alternative ideas, so come to the meeting and tell us what you think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, several meetings ago, probably a year and a half ago, when this topic was brought up, myself and several other residents requested a feasibility study be prepared and given to the residents. And what I mean by that is some estimates on what it would cost to do the proposed plan, because nobody really kind of knew completely what the proposed plan was. And secondly, you know, what were the estimated savings that were going to be derived from, you know, pulling down the other gates and that kind of thing. And then what was going to be the projected increase in the HOA dues, so that the residents would have some way to gauge whether they were in favor of it or not. And so I think it's a little unfair to pass judgment, first of all, on who was kind of in favor and who wasn't. I don't know that the board has done enough homework to deliver the requested information to the homeowners, upon which they could make a reasonable judgment as to whether it was reasonable or not. So, you know.
So when we put out the survey, we estimated the cost of gating and manning the gates was gonna be between $18 and $25 per home per month. And that came out in the survey, the information. We're not sure the guarding levels and how bad the traffic will be backing up to how many people that we have to access with the gate. You know, we went through a lot of work. Even the golf course and the elementary school both agreed to support us in this endeavor, which is pretty big. The other part is, since we started this process, if you go over to by North Lake Park, where the Panera, where the YMCA is, the community across the street, which is, I think, Savannah Pines or something, it's 88 units, went into this virtual guard, I think, system with Envira, and they only have 88 units, and their traffic is already backing up onto Narcoozy Road, which is a really busy highway. So we look at safety. We can't have traffic back out onto Moss Park Road. We certainly can't have traffic back onto Kirby Smith. We don't think that we have the infrastructure to put in a gate system with enough lane capacity that can keep it from being a safety hazard as well. If the community was designed originally to do it, we think we can do it, but having now watched that, we don't think we have the digestion levels to do it. We have to allow one fettered lane to the school, unimpeded, so that would be the current left turn lane that we have. But it doesn't take long for that traffic to back up. If, look, we may not even get 15% of our residents to come out and vote tonight. Could you imagine if every resident had to come in and put their 6, 8, 10 family members and vendors on a checklist for a guard to come in? And the first month it comes and 200 cars back out up there?
Yeah, Dave, I'm not debating any of that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that in order for the residents to make a, an informed decision about that, we need to have enough information about it. And one survey question that says, well, here's about how much it's gonna go up for the gate. I mean, we don't have any estimated construction costs, what kind of gates we're talking about. I mean, I'm just saying that there wasn't enough information provided.
We were trying to see if there was enough interest to even proceed. If it could come back the opposite against it, then we would have let it die. And candidly, to answer your question, I don't think there's any savings. It's just the enhancement of the value of the community and to cut down the access and the transit.
So if there is no savings, then what is the projected impact on the HOA dues for the residents per year? I mean, that's a question that just hasn't been answered.
And we went and looked at other communities with guards and gates. We figured out it was gonna be between $18 and $25 a month to have 2 manned guards during the day, 1 at night, 24/7. Plus the cost of the hub. Yes, ma'am.
We live back up to North Shore Boulevard. We lived here 2 years now, and I've noticed a huge change in the traffic even in our 2 years. The amount of people going through, the amount of speeding is crazy. Almost regularly, I have people pass me on North Shore. I go the speed limit. I never go over the speed limit. We lived in Australia where there was speed cameras everywhere, so you're like, yeah. So anyways, all to say is, yesterday I did have someone do a U-turn and almost hit me on North Shore. A lot of times I will, it's crazy what it sounds like, because I get so tired of people tailing me when I'm doing it. I'll go all the way to the end of the neighborhood when they turn in, just to see if they're cutting through, and they're always cutting through, or the ones that are past me, and me back up at Kirby Smith. But I do know, I know a lot of other realtors in the area, and I regularly hear that this is holding back a lot of people because they know how many thousands of homes are going to be built where innovation is going to come into Moss Park, and then all of that business up there. And so people are like, oh my gosh, you know, realtors are saying it's going to be a huge cut through in traffic and just backed up.
You mean realtor, you mean people?
Realtors, yeah.
Concerned about buying in here because
yes.
of the traffic?
And so, and then they say too, like just like up in Avalon, there's some neighborhoods who now are, you know, they put a gate up, they cut through, where you just have backed up line after line after line. So I think we will get the backed up traffic once Walmart and Sam's Club and all of that area up there on the, gets sold. But it's a huge concern. I mean, if you have any question about that road, just come and sit in our back porch and just watch it. It is insane. And I know you can't stop speeding people in the neighborhood. Well, Americans, unfortunately, are crazy speeders. But I think what I tell when I tell my friends, like who live in some of the other neighborhoods, like Moss Park and back there, I kind of say, oh, we may gate out there. Like, you can't do that. That's my cut through. That's how I speed through there. Like, that's how I'm going to get everywhere quick.
So why don't you address we're looking at Corporal Ramsey here. Mr. Ramsey runs our off-duty, and he could probably answer your question. What do you ask him?
Issue tickets.
We do issue them. Some people
More.
are. Some
Yeah,
people
do
are
we
not
have
happy
someone
with others.
24/7? Like, because I feel like there's policemen all the time.
Can you put stop signs on every, like for example, Marsh Pines, when you're turning in, put a stop sign on there and stuff. Every single time there's like Marsh Pines, Marsh Point, put stop signs, so people will say, going down there, it's just going to go stop, stop, stop.
I wouldn't be able to do that, you would have to request that through the county.
That's the county?
The county would have to do that, and they would have to.
Because they did that in Stony Brook, and if you ever been down to Stony Brook, you've got every 15 yards is a stop sign.
At the same time, we want to balance.
That's one of the reasons I moved out of there.
Yeah, right.
8 stop signs to get to my house. From either gate.
Well, didn't you slow down the traffic on it?
No.
No?
No.
You better finish
No,
up.
they run them all the time.
The other thing, Laureate Park and some people on the board there, they are considering putting in, what do they call those, the little things, bumps that if you drive the speed limit, they don't make a noise, but if you go over the speed limit, it goes, and will drive you crazy. And then I also know people who live back in North Shore, that gated area, North Lake Park, that they only have the guard during the day, and then you have a code to get in at night, which cuts down on their cost. Which seems like we just need a guard for the golf course and all that.
I personally like the idea of gating off the street, but I don't have enough information to decide how much I like it, right? My initial thought is, yeah, great idea, love it. My value will go up, right? I think it's a great idea, but I don't have enough information to decide. $20 a month, I'm in, but not everybody's like, you know. So I agree.
What's the upfront cost?
Well, again, right, so if there's a path, right, if there's a reasonable expectation that we can do it, then you go start a real front-end analysis with that kind of stuff. I mean, you have to. I mean, it'd be worth 20, 25 grand to spend.
And the same guard would be allowing access in and out of Sparrow as well. So you would have the same guard with a monitor and a camera on your gate. You know, Sparrow is a unique enclave. You can't have a guard for 30 homes, 32 homes, but your visitors will have to check on the same guard with a monitor and a buzzer and all that too. You know, Sparrow is probably the most secure community in North Shore because they have a walking gate as well. So when Brian talks about people driving around the gate, driving around the sidewalk, Sparrow has a walking gate that stays locked, or should be staying locked, and that helps, and a bit more of a wall around it. So, you know, that's, potential for us too. Those cost money and they're expensive. To also answer your question, we thought the garden hut, we got a couple of loose quotes for about $750. To put a garden hut with a bathroom with electric, with air conditioning.
750,000.
Yes.
For one guardhouse to instruct it, but not manning it on an annual basis.
Manning it 24/7.
Okay, that includes that?
Yes, and we had realtors come to us and said the home values would go up exponentially above the cost of this. So
See,
we
that,
would,
yeah, that's my point, Dave, is that, you know, that you just said, we don't know what those estimates are. Like, we don't, in fact, we don't even have an estimate as to what that cost looks like on an annual basis in terms of an increase in HOA use. So, or what upfront costs there were.
well, it seems to be a dead point anyway. So now we're working on the interior gates. That's the next thing on the list with a guard and enhanced interior gates.
I think part of like what you're asking for is just one of those things like with the horse or the cart first. So you would like to see the analysis on cost, but I think they were going for, is it feasible to get done, and then we'll get the analysis on the cost. So I think it's just like two different ways, and it sounds like it just wasn't feasible to get done, not in a monetary sense, but like as a political get the thing.
We were really discouraged to see a community 1/15 our size have traffic backup onto Narcoossee Road. And we've got Moss Park, which is gonna be a highway. We've got Kirby Smith, which only has one lane. And we thought it would be a safety issue. I don't think we have the infrastructure to do it. I really don't. So I think gating is a dead point, as much as we all want. Beth, you were up first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't believe we've had a newsletter, and it could be due to the cost since August, but what I would be looking for would be just not as thorough of communication about all the costs, but some sort of better communication, because I'm not able to always attend the meetings. And I don't know if our website is being utilized properly to keep us up to date, like on the addresses for the different committees, the projects, what the status is. So I'm finding more out right now than I have since August.
Well, Ben, and I always appreciate your comments, but the email addresses have been in the newsletters that we've spent thousands of dollars to mail out, and all the committee members have been in the newsletter too. So we do that. We do the Facebook. We were hoping to email the newsletter to save money.
Right.
But when we still have email addresses for less than half the community, it becomes, you know, a challenging venture.
Is there a way to keep the website up to date?
We're working on the website, and we have a new community Facebook page, and we're sending out email bursts. We've added a signboard for the back of the community. And look, Beth, we're all volunteers. We need more people on the communication committee.
I've
That's
offered
part
to
of the problem is
volunteer.
that, like, I'm on the communication committee, and we haven't been doing our jobs. So like, it's not them, it's the communication committee who hasn't had a meeting in like over a year. And that's, I think that's part of the reason that you haven't got a newsletter, is because of the volunteers and the lack of participation.
I did volunteer, but it didn't get anywhere except that I would be appointed. And I don't think as a volunteer, I need to have the blessing of anyone from the board to say we welcome your help.
The board has to seat all the committees, but Beth, you would be welcome with open arms to any committee at North Shore. Absolutely. So, but that is the protocol that we.
For what it's worth, the department, right? Four of us sit on a grounds committee. I don't think we've had a visitor since I've been on the committee, probably. That's not true. You started as one. But,
yeah, please.
I mean, to give input, it's no different stuff whether you're on the committee or not. Show up all day long and bring, I love it. Come bring suggestions, come bring ideas. Email them if you can't make it. I mean, it's certain.
I would like to stay back with the grounds, and I mean, we started with that, and we're getting off into another area.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. You mentioned before that it's too hard or very hard to put in speed bumps. Why is that?
There's been some rulings about speed bumps limiting access to residents' homes, and residents have filed lawsuits against the HOA for putting speed bumps in, which impede their ability to get to their home in a timely manner.
That's within hours, HOA?
No, it's within,
They didn't want to
community.
Almost everyone that's put them in,
We turn professional meetings where we talk to our counterparts in dozens and dozens of other communities. And it was eye-opening. Nor can we put in those tiger claws in the exit gates to cut costs coming in. Number one, they cost a couple $100,000. Number two, communities have been sued over that, so.
Absent, you were talking about before the gates, absent gating the boulevard, we are accepting bids now and getting quotes on enhancing the gates that we have. When the gates open, the control arm is down, when the gates are open, the arm goes up, the car goes through, gate comes down again, and the arm comes down again. We're also talking about virtual guard, little kiosks, which just show you driver's license and you say, I'm on the list for rent on. If you're on the list, you get let in. I mean, it's a virtual guard, not a real person. It's a person on the end of the line, is marked in, it's virtual. And we are getting some bids on things like that, and cameras.
That was my question.
License plate cameras, big cameras, just getting them.
I know that we talked about cameras over several years. Question for the officers. If we had cameras on the boulevard, are you able to write tickets or make arrests based on catching speeders that way like we do on the highways?
Now, the red light cameras are a code violation, or a code enforcement violation. That's how they start off. So they're observed by usually civilians. They issue the ticket or the code violation. If you contest it, then it becomes a traffic citation. But we cannot do that for speeding. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that, so we cannot do that for speeding. But I'll say this: couple of things that the community can do is when you pull through your gate, instead of being in a hurry to get home, stop as soon as you get through the gates and make sure nobody's following you. And the reason I say that is because I was called earlier today before I got here, and there's an individual who made it into one of the communities. He was by somebody's back door. The resident called, they confronted this guy, he tried to present a badge saying that he was there for security for the golf course. So he didn't do anything to present himself as a law enforcement officer, otherwise he would have gone to jail today. However, I did track the guy down. He's up at the golf course, and probably to try to make his story look good. He said he left the golf club out on the golf course yesterday while he was here playing. He was playing illegally. He didn't pay to play. He showed up with some friends. They grabbed their bags and walked out on the course and played. Of course, he paid today after he confessed to it. We went back to the golf course and he paid for it. But the point is that he was here illegally. He followed somebody in illegally. He went back to the golf shop and asked somebody there if they could borrow a golf cart to go look for his club. They allowed him to do it. He never checked in there. They didn't have his name or anything. And I know you talked about the gate, at either end. That's some of the stuff that would have stopped that.
Well, our gates actually don't work that way.
Right.
Because I frequently will stop just inside my gate. If they put the nose of their car where the gate opens,
And that's perfect.
it will not shut.
And that's fine. So what you do is you just pull to the side, let them go by you, give a tag, and email it to the front office, and they can send it to me. I'll check it. If the person doesn't live here, then we'll start looking for him. Like this guy, he lives up off of Alafaya. He lives in a gated community. And I asked him, why would you follow somebody in? I said, the purpose of that is to keep you out. He tried to say he also looks to buy houses. So, the point is he lives in a gated community. He doesn't want anybody doing that to him. And over where he lives, they do have the double arm system, so you can't, follow in. But, if you stop, don't be confrontational. You stop there, the guy's honking the horn, whoever it is honking the horn, just pull to the side, write down their tag, and send it to us. We'll follow up with it. If it's somebody we can make contact here in the neighborhood, if not, then we'll keep an eye out for them, because there's not a lot we can do beyond that. But somebody might have a crime take place in the area, and now there's our, first lead.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Thank
all right.
It's a real delicate balance. We'd all like to have 10 deputies on the boulevard getting every speeder. But, you know, really, the original reason that we have off-duty deputies here was to help patrol the community. I mean, we're having significant issues with trespassers, which we think the gate would help. We're having a lot more vandalism than we've ever had. We've had weekends that we've taken 40 people out of the pool and the rec center that don't live here, that live in the apartments, that live in the adjoining communities, that come and crash, or even worse, a resident gives them their ID. So, you know, we had a series of auto break-ins, which most of the time was somebody leaving their car unlocked. When school was out, and kids are curious, and they're gonna walk down the street and test every car door until they get access, and sure enough, they will. You know, we've all left our cars unlocked. And it's a balance between what we ask the sheriff's office to do, plus their own initiatives, as well as the speeders.
Have we looked at patrol, private patrol of the community?
We're taking a bid and RFPs for that as well. Particularly come September, when we start to enforce our new parking policy. You know, with alternates out of street parking or no night parking. You know, Village Walk, Hunters Creek, Eagle Creek have no street parking. And we have parking where it chokes a lane down. So we're gonna have to do something about parking, whether it's gonna be alternate side or no night parking between 2 and 6 a.m. But we're gonna address the parking and instead of using extremely valuable sheriff's resources to enforce that, we'll bring on hopefully a private security company. We'll give warnings unless it's an egregious parking, and then we'll have a towing policy.
Why can't you go straight to no parking in the street, after say 6 o'clock at night?
A lot of people don't want that.
We have to give due notice. Mr. Bauer can address that. We want to give people, we don't want to be a punitive community. We want to give people time to understand the regulations. We want to give people time to comprehend it, let their vendors and guests know, and then gradually implement it in. So we might have a whole month where we just do warnings.
One thing is, number one, I believe it's a law that if you're parked on the street, you have to allow 1.5 car lengths distance between an already parked car. So when somebody's parked here and somebody comes and parks here, so a car can't get between them, whoever was there second is the one who's in the wrong.
How you choose who's second?
We don't choose. People need to know they aren't allowed to be there. They should have. They have a driver's license. They took the test.
You gotta communicate to people. My community's 13 years old now. People that moved in here was 5-year-old kids, now 18, have their own car. Now you got 3 cars and 4 cars in a family.
Or 7 cars in some houses.
And the garages are nothing more than basements or something. You can't put cars in the garage. If we need to educate people, like clean the garage out, maybe put a car in the garage, try and get all your cars off the street. Now, you're gonna have visitors, you're gonna have vendors, but try and get all of your cars off the street. But it's an education process.
I'm so proud.
How many people here would be willing to say, I will not park my car on the street?
I don't.
Let's move the other way. Who is not willing to say that?
That's not the question.
Visitors.
That's not the question.
Okay.
This is Florida. We get visitors.
Yeah, but no,
Oftentimes
I said
they
your
want-
cars.
Now, wait a second, oftentimes they wanna come and stay for a little while.
Okay.
Sure, but
Longer than we
we
probably
have a
want.
protocol. So if you
Well,
have a house.
tell them they can't stay,
Oh,
they
I'm sorry.
can't park.
And we,
That's kind of what I'm asking.
if you have a house guest,
Yes.
if you're having a high school graduation, if you're having a wake, you can contact the office and get a 2-week parking notice for your guests.
Yeah, see, I don't know, cause I don't.
So we have made accommodations.
Do we have a proposal? Was this in a newsletter?
It's in development.
Sorry?
It's in development.
It's one of the things we're walking around Metro Roads and looking into.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question, what do you do when people come and visit, and they stay for 2 weeks? I park in my grass, I guess, right? I'll get rid of all work.
Yep.
They
Don't park
run
across
out
the
and
sidewalk.
measure the
Straight
streets.
get you too.
And the width of the cars, and if 2 of them parked together, the width of an Orange County fire rescue. And some of our streets can't do it.
No, I understand. I'm not
So
trying to
we
be
have to
smart,
come up
I'm
with
just-
some policy, and that's, we're asking for ideas on this right now. We're not implementing
Excellent,
it.
excellent.
It's policy, it's a law.
Yeah, the other issue that we have is, we have a fair amount of property in our communities that is rented, that the owner doesn't give any of our rules and regulations to the renters. So we're gonna have to figure out a formulation to make sure that the renters have seen and signed our community rules. You can't have 7 cars, you can't block a sidewalk, so a 3-year-old girl on a bicycle has to ride into traffic to get around that. You would think that people would have common sense, they wouldn't park on their lawn, they wouldn't park on the sidewalk, they wouldn't park blocking the stop sign at the gate, but people do that, and that's the things that we have to face every day with 3,500 people living here.
So there's more information coming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I have a question.
And by the way, the grounds committee discusses parking, if not at every meeting, virtually every meeting. And if you want input before we adopt this, that is able to do it. And we talked about parking in the newsletter as well.
Okay, let me ask this question. At the start of your presentation, you mentioned about some communities around here where their clubhouse or the facilities was a lot much better.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Through you, most likely to the president, I'd like to know, is there any plan right now for us to improve our facilities, like say build a new one, increase the swimming pool, increase parking space outside, or anything to us for
There are several of the ideas we've thrown around, and you're gonna hear more about that in the survey.
Every one of those is one of the survey. Yeah, and there's some other survey.
Okay, all right.
The first thing we're gonna handle is the gates. That's the most important thing on our agenda. And then after the gates, amenities and facilities are the next thing that we tackle. We're gonna do the gates first. The gates cost us a hell of a lot of money. It's chronic, they're being driven into on a regular basis. Cameras will help, better security will help. Now that we think the boulevard gating is dead, whether we wanted to, if every resident wanted it, I still don't think we could do it at this point. We're gonna work on our interior gates and the enhancements to security.
I appreciate all that you guys are doing, and all that. I mean, I know on our street, there was a time that his cars always parked, half the time they're not parked in the driveways, they just park on the side, let a fire truck take you down. But I do know some people at Eagle Creek who had that, where they couldn't park after 2 in the morning, from 2 to 6.
Right.
And they said that very first week, they really let you, and, the several cars I have back there said it's amazing, no one parks on the street now. Because everyone realized, okay, I need to do it, and that their neighborhood looks so much cleaner and nicer.
It's conditioning, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not able to get down the road, you don't even think about it, I don't think about it.
I do,
Somebody
because I
says,
sometimes can't get through.
yeah, so where I sit on Mallard Landing, I'm only about 10 houses deep. We don't have these.
And the worst is when
10
people,
more houses.
where people park with 1 lane around the islands, and they expect you to drive up over the curb around that. I mean, that's the most absurd. Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, just one comment, we have what, 7 gates if I remember right? 9, okay. Would it make sense to kind of figure out what we think is the best and install one first? And then run that for a couple of 3-4 months, just to make certain that it does what we hope it does? And we don't have some unforeseen circumstances before we blow the entire wad on a whole bunch of them?
Well, it makes sense, but then we have paid for more deployment costs to bring crews back and forth.
Well, yeah, but
And sorry, and by the way, Mr. Bauer, there's a lot of technology that supports the gates and the guard,
Right.
and it's hard just to do it from one.
There's lots of examples right here. I mean, I'm sure we could contact the board from another neighborhood and probably go sit and play with it for an afternoon.
But Dave, we can probably get you 3 examples and talk to their board presidents and get the good.
But I'm just saying, I'd hate to see us go through all of this and end up with 9 nobody liked.
Right now, the 9 you have, they're having a hard time buying parts.
We've got 9 that nobody likes.
Yeah, we're right back where we started and we should have $500 million for it.
Who would have thought the gates would take us a year to get done? It's an exhaustive process. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the purpose of the gate is to stop slow through traffic, am I right? And theft in the community.
To control
Yeah,
access.
those are the two most.
Control access.
All right, but what I'm saying, instead of having a gate on the north side and the south side, just put a gate on the south side, which will stop the traffic going across. It should act like, you know, a dead end. The traffic that's coming up and coming out from the other communities would actually see. And then you.
The problem is North Shore Boulevard is an Orange County road, it's not ours.
Mr. Baker, wasn't it like
All
that?
the
when you
roads
came?
behind the gate belong to us. Orange County controls that North Shore Boulevard.
Until you put
We
a gate
can't
on it.
arbitrarily
So
put gates there
actually,
without.
then you.
We can't put any gates in.
Yeah, but-
Go ahead, John.
Well, yeah, North Shore Boulevard is a county road. We don't own North Shore Boulevard.
Yeah.
We own everything inside
inside the gates. So all the ideas that were thrown around here in this evening and been getting thrown around for North Shore Boulevard, any of them are something that we're gonna have to go lobby for with the county. You know, whether it's speed tables, gating, you know, armed guards, whatever. Anything on North Shore Boulevard is a negotiation with the county. You know, what Dave asked about, when the community was first developed, the entrance in and out of Kirby Smith didn't exist yet. So for several years, this was a dead-end community. But they finally got all their ducks in a row and finished that back entrance and created it. The whole reason that back entrance only is right in and right out was because of opposition from the folks on Lake Whippoorwill, who are probably some of the prime violators of the no turning situation they created for everybody. We could talk about, you know, ways to improve that back entrance. So yeah, hearing some of the feedback tonight, you know, would the county maybe let us do that? I don't know, that was a new idea. Yeah, something for all of us to kick around. You know, but that's what we wanted to do tonight. Let's you know, while we're sitting here waiting on the counts, let's have some brainstorming, because you know, those of us that are on grounds committee have been kicking ideas around and researching, that somebody else may have an idea that never dawned on us, that, you know, let's go run a few more ideas up flagpoles, see if one of them will work.
They did that in my parents' neighborhood, they cut it off, the county came and planted trees.
Right.
Across where the road went through, nobody could get through it.
The problem is
That did kill traffic.
and we've got the county, which has been pretty cooperative up until recently about controlling access. So all these other developments have annexed into the city of Orlando, which has given them complete unfettered growth. The city of Orlando, for those of you that don't know, has a significantly higher tax millage than Orange County. And the city of Orlando has spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, billion, on their venues, and they're fairly broke. And the city wants all the money. The people that own the land want all the development that they can glean out of that. And, you know, when I moved out here in 1986, it was all county south of the B-line, everything. And it started with Lake Nona, and all around us is the city of Orlando. Walgreens is in the city of Orlando. SunTrust is in Orange County. Okay? That's the way it is. And the city of Orlando wants all the way to Boggy Creek. The city of Orlando told us if we annex into the city of Orlando, they'll let us gate the community in immediately. But now you're talking about changing so many things. No, we would grant our taxes, and that was the first question. We would not do that for that huge tax cut. But it changes a lot of other things. It changes our status. 51% of the residents would have to vote for that, which would be hard to we're looking at 15% to vote, you know, so I don't think that's a feasible idea.
The speed bumps, excuse me, one second. The speed bumps that I was talking about before, I'm talking about for the North Shore County on the road.
North Shore Golf Club?
Yeah, not the internal.
Right.
So how could the HOA sue us for putting speed bumps on that road?
You're right.
Well, the county would have
road.
to agree to it, and on Kirby Smith, I think 75% of the residents had to vote for that.
But could they sue us?
Oh, I thought you were talking within the gates.
No, I'm talking about just on.
We want to, I think we're gonna ask for a stop sign at the roundabout.
Speed bumps too, that's not.
We're thinking about the speed tables, ADA compliant for the sidewalk.
One of the ideas we've been kicking around to see if we can get buy-in and then county approval. If you've been in some of the newer retail developments, what a lot of them are doing these days, instead of having sidewalks slope down to paving, the sidewalks stay level and get across to where your retail, you know, front canopies are, and it becomes what they call speed tables. You have to come up, have a flat spot, crosswalk, and then come back down. And it, you know, it serves that double purpose of being a speed deterrent, but also creating ADA compliant access. So one of the things that the grounds committee's been talking about presenting to everybody as a question would we be for pitching that to Orange County and promoting it from the standpoint of the 3 or 4 neighborhoods on one side of North Shore Boulevard providing ADA compliant access across North Shore to the much wider sidewalk that most of the kids would walk down to get to the school, but that would create 3 or 4 natural pedestrian crossings on North Shore Boulevard, as well as a speed deterrent. So if that's something that everybody likes, that's one of the things we've been kicking around. I see a lot of nodding heads. So, you know, if that's something we can all get behind and support, when the survey comes out, we all need to vote, so we can then walk into Commissioner Thompson and say, look, this huge percentage of our residents voted for the speed tables and ADA pedestrian crosswalks, will you do that? I mean, you know, so that's one of the other ideas we're kicking around. So, you know, I don't know if that's one of the questions that's already on the one survey we're doing, but we want to get these things out to everybody. If we can get buy-in from everybody, then when Dave and Lisa have to go to the county commissioners and represent us, they'll have that data. They'll have those data points that will make it a lot easier to say, hey, the community is behind this. How can we partner with you to make this road safer for everybody?
Is there a chance with this road going to be cut through for, you know, thousands of homes and then all those businesses, can you tell, would they, since we don't own North Shore Boulevard, would they expand that to a 4-lane road eventually?
Wow,
Never
you
say
want that?
never.
No, I don't want that. No, I don't want people cutting through.
I understood your question.
I think if people really understand what's really happening
That
up
might
in
get
the other
tricky one for
area
some
and
of our
what's
people to
really
vote.
happening there and the amount of traffic that's gonna come through and the amount of wait time at the backup, I think that is something people
So
understand.
if we don't have any more pressing questions,
Yes.
Lisa, I'll turn it over to Lisa, our
I have a question,
community
I had
manager.
my hand up.
I'm sorry, go
And you
ahead.
purposely ignore me.
I did not see you, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ryan, has the committee done anything with looking at making the clubhouse ADA accessible? That was requested to have that done.
Well, technically, we're
I
the
had-
grounds committee, so we're not actually building
Yeah,
anything.
we're not buildings, they separated buildings out.
Okay.
If we were to do improvements, which is one of the questions, yeah, I mean, that would have to be part of its code, right? It would have to be.
Well, no, it's only code that's
Privately owned, I don't
requested.
think we have to be.
I'm
I was
sorry,
told
John-
before
John.
that it was with the lawyer.
If a new building is built, it would have to be a code.
No.
That's
The law says if a resident requests it to be ADA accessible, it has to be made ADA accessible.
Law or not, I don't know why that wouldn't make sense to do that.
Yeah.
Right, John?
I mean, I'd have to have somebody that's much more expert than me, but I don't know what, trying to think of something we'd have to improve. You know, we'd have to have somebody take a look, see if there's an item that may or may not have to be improved. You know, I know there's been, you know, again, one of the survey questions is whether we want to add on to this building or do something to improve it. If we were to add on to the building, that would definitely be something that a building department would look at, when you do a major modification. If there was an existing, condition that they deemed that wasn't in compliance, that would end up being part of a renovation project. Whether there's something right now or not, I'd have to really sit and give some thought to it.
What's currently not ADA compliant? That's no fun.
The doors, the entrances, none of those are ADA compliant.
So, like, cause there's too high a lip, or?
There's too high of a lip and the door itself cannot be operated by someone in a wheelchair.
So like, you're talking about like the front door where there's a buzzer, cause if,
All of the doors have to be ADA compliant, you have to have accessibility into the bathrooms and something. Somebody in a wheelchair has to be able to access these, you know, gain access to these, and we don't have that. It's mostly our door system and the lip out front.
So we can continue discussing amongst ourselves if you like, but I'd like to give everybody an update. I thank you for being patient and waiting while we get the count. We want to make sure everything was done accurately. We are 14 proxies short, either in person or to have a quorum tonight. So what the board has expressed that they would like to do, instead of just appointing people to fill the positions, we really want to have an election. So what we're going to do is renotice.
I'm sorry, excuse me, pardon me, are you recording? We have recording rules, Maria. You've been here at the meetings and you're familiar with the recording rules.
Have I signed any? Have you given them to the homeowners to sign? No, I'm still recording. Thank you.
Maria, you did sign in saying that you agreed to follow the rules when you signed in, so you
When
need
did
to.
I sign in?
You signed in, correct?
Nope.
You either need to sign in or you need to follow the follow the rules, I'm gonna ask you to please come to order and stop recording. Because those are the policies.
See, I'm a member today, this is not a board meeting, sorry, this is my meeting, not a board meeting.
I'll defer to Jennifer.
She does need to sign in first of all, and yes, the recording rules are for all meetings.
So I'll politely ask you if you'll follow the rules.
Who else signed in for the cameras?
I'm addressing you.
Okay, on my record, if you go back on my file, there's a letter from me stating that every meeting that I would attend in here, I would record. You have it on file.
And you may record it, but you have to follow the policy.
The policy I'm recording. Am I there? Is there anybody that says don't record? Is there anybody at that table? No. The board's issue is that they don't want their faces recorded.
No, there's a policy that you have to sign in and say that you're recording.
You have a letter from me stating that I am recording every meeting that I attend. This is baloney with you guys.
Well, just because you write a letter that says you're not gonna follow the rules,
The
it's
rules, the
everybody
letter
gets
says to
out of it.
notify you, and I notify you in writing.
John.
It's been done.
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
Grab your person, step out for me, please.
You gonna arrest me too? On top of being sued, arrest me too. This is bullshit.
Any resident can record a meeting, we just have rules.
Resident cannot, only us four.
We just have a rule on where the cameras are placed, and so they're not disruptive, and that people know they're being recorded. Go ahead, Lisa.
So what we would like to do is we would like to be able to have an election where everybody who lives in the community is able to vote and say who's on the board. So by doing such, what we're gonna do is we're going to renotice and we're going to call another election, and we're going to attempt to get enough people in person or in proxy to be able to come. So what we would like to do is ask a couple of residents if they will come witness. We're gonna package everything up and seal it. The ballots will stay in the sealed boxes. The proxies that we've already received, we're gonna seal those. And any new ones that come in will be added towards our quorum.
It's very important that whoever's is appointed as inspectors tonight to sign these things, that you're physically able to attend the renotice meeting. So if there's any suspicion you might not be here at the next meeting, which will be within 90 days of tonight, we should actually go ahead and set that date tonight. I'm sorry, my name is David Berman. I also work with Aegis Management, but we would need a motion from the owners to come up with a date within 90 days of tonight to recall this meeting, to reconvene the meeting. It's not gonna be a whole new meeting. It's gonna be reconvened tonight's meeting.
What's the minimum time?
90 days.
The minimum could be tomorrow.
But don't you have to give notice again?
Now that you set the meeting date tonight.
I need a clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to package up and seal the proxies and the votes. Will they count toward the next meeting?
Yes.
Or does
The ballots will
everybody
stay,
see
the ballots will stay right there in the box. They've never been opened.
No, I understand
Okay.
that, but they count.
Wait.
So you don't vote a second time?
No, the reconvene meeting is just like it continued tonight, just a delay between.
But you can't go back to your neighbors and say,
Correct.
hey, if you're gonna.
If you didn't vote.
Also, if you are here and you did not sign a proxy, it wouldn't hurt to sign it just in case you can't make the next meeting. And we're hoping to do it much sooner than 90 days. The plan will be, we'll get notice out pretty quickly.
Well, I think we should set the date tonight. That way you don't need
Can I
to set.
clarify something then? You need, the next meeting, let's say it's 3 weeks. You need 159 or you need the 14 more? You need 159?
We need to do it all. We need to.
14.
You need
I thought
14
I heard you
more.
already done.
Just 14 additional ones.
Okay,
from what we have
one
to do.
second.
Brian and Bob.
John, you don't know the rules.
Did you get your question answered, Brian? Okay.
Bob Stolz.
Sorry, how about clarification on the quorum?
Yes.
So I put in a vote in earlier today, but not a proxy, just the ballot.
Correct.
Does that count toward the quorum?
No. You being here in person counts towards the quorum.
Okay.
If you're
Well,
not.
One of the reasons why you don't have a lot of people for the quorum is that's misunderstood. We were under the understanding, and thankfully my neighbor changed it, so I ran up here,
Okay.
that the vote counted toward the quorum. And I'll bet you there's a lot of votes
It
there.
is.
that
It is.
people-
So what we can do is we can reword that notice when we send it out next time.
You probably won't have to go through the whole expense and time of another mailing. 14 proxies is on the cusp. Everybody go out and talk to one person.
Right,
get the
so
proxies.
please, there's two things I want to leave tonight. Number one, everybody who had questions, thank you for your participation. thanks for asking the questions. That kind of gives us the pulse of what you want and what you need. Number two, we only need 12.5 more votes. So go home and tell your neighbors.
No, you don't, because there's people like me sitting here.
Well, we'd like you to
who
sign.
voted and didn't put in a proxy.
But Lisa asked you to sign a proxy on the way up.
Okay, but if we don't have the 14 in here and those people don't come back.
Okay, so explain that,
And you're
Lisa.
not gonna have a quorum.
Yeah, explain that again.
Yeah, because I was.
Because you're
we
saying,
submitted a
that
ballot.
if you sign a proxy,
Good,
you have
good
to
point,
come back.
good point.
There are only, our cross-reference only shows 4 names that have no proxy. There are tenants personally, but no proxy in the stack.
Okay.
So there's 4 may even know, you may even know right now who you are. And so if you even suspect that you don't have a proxy in place, just see Lisa on the way out and sign a new proxy.
Doesn't a proxy eliminate our ballot?
No.
No.
One or the other.
No.
Right.
And that's why it's confusing. We're gonna try and make it simple.
And so let me explain a little bit about why this process is confusing. The way statute reads is a very, very closed and undemocratic way. You can have somebody show up with 400 proxies and basically control who serves on the board. This board decided to do this in a very democratic way, in a very transparent way, which is sort of mimics how the way condominiums operate their elections. So all this is open, but it does require the secret ballot with a separate envelope and the green proxy and all this sort of confusing thing. And we'll make sure that notice is defined out a lot better. But the end result of all this will be a very, very democratic and very, very transparent election. No sort of rigging process, no proxy wars, that sort of thing, which is not an appropriate way to carry on an election. And just so you know, within the next 2 years, Florida statute will be changed to make it exactly what you did tonight.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I have a question, because I'm not sure I understand.
No, I don't.
I'm pretty smart. So, so I came, I got an envelope, I put it in the box. But my vote didn't count towards your quorum, because I didn't do a proxy? So I'm here, so do I have to do a proxy now for the next meeting?
Only if you don't attend the
If I
meeting
don't
next week.
show up.
Your proxy stands in your place should you not be here. If you show up, if you filled out a proxy and you come, you stand in place of your proxy.
Okay, I got you.
If that kind of clarifies a little bit.
So if I do a proxy now,
You don't have to come next day.
but I voted for somebody, so now if I do a proxy, does that give somebody else the right to
So
vote for somebody
separate
else?
out.
A proxy doesn't have
It doesn't
choices on
It doesn't replace.
Right, your ballot's in the box.
Yeah,
Your
your
vote is
Mine still
already.
counts.
Your vote's there.
Got it.
Lisa?
Yes.
If I give you my proxy, then I can give you the right to vote for me?
No.
Vote your ballot that's in that box.
But in times past, people were voting the proxy.
Because they designated someone else in the designee line of your proxy.
Right.
And
So if you
they
don't
did
name
not
a
pass the
designee,
balance.
That's right.
if you don't name a designee. And look, as you guys go home, we've had a great meeting
I
tonight.
had a question before you move forward, if you don't mind, David.
Sure, Rose.
Okay, thank you. How can you reconvene a meeting if you haven't opened it up yet?
You can't call it to order unless you have a quorum.
Correct, so how can you reconvene?
We're not reconvening.
That's what you said.
No, I said we were
Well,
gonna call
it's-
another meeting to order. We were gonna call another meeting.
It'll be the same meeting. The proxies are good for 90 days.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is not reconvening because this has never been called. This is not a
That's
meeting
what
that's
I-
been called because we didn't get a
And I
quorum.
misunderstood, 'cause I
Yeah.
thought you
Yeah,
said
no,
you
that's
were
okay.
reconvening. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that we were short 14 people,
14,
14 homes.
yes.
Right.
We're shy of getting our quorum by 14.
Okay, you said you was gonna send out new mailings or whatever.
No.
Is it possible, is it possible then to, instead of sending out more mailings, just to do telephone calls to each homeowner and say, we asking you to come out to vote, or it has to be by mail? Because I figure that if you talk with someone directly, you may be able to convince that person to come to the meeting.
I don't think we're
Most of the
gonna,
time I get junk mail, I
I don't think we're
vote.
gonna do another meeting. We tried to do everything that we could to get participation this time. Everyone who got a proxy in the mail got 2 stamped self-addressed envelopes. We did everything that we could to draw attendance to get a valid and clear election. So my suggestion is we do this again next Wednesday. That gives us a week and a couple of days.
Got enough time for another.
Yes.
14 days.
Well, they're not gonna do it. It doesn't require, excuse me, it doesn't require new notice. If the
Oh,
members
because we didn't
present,
convene, that's right.
that's right, we're going to, somebody's gonna make a motion saying we're gonna vote on it, do a show of hands for Wednesday. What's that date next Wednesday? Or do you wanna make it 2 weeks from now?
Wednesday's Right. So if we have to do another mailing, it's thousands and thousands of dollars of your dues that get spent again. It confuses the heck out of our residents, because, oh, what did I get to do election?
Can I say, next Wednesday, is that gonna be good? You've got
We
a
only need
holiday
14
week,
we only
but
need
I'm gonna
14
say,
people.
people aren't gonna be around. You've got people
That's what
leaving
proxies
this
are.
weekend for vacations, and they're gonna be gone.
We need to establish a board, and my consensus is next Wednesday, we only need 12.5 votes that we can drum out of the bushes.
Assuming everybody shows up.
And look, when you go home, tell your neighbors, hey, all of you that think highly of the community or have suggestions for the community, come and vote. I mean, we gotta get 15, 20 more votes. So we're gonna open up for another 9 days. We wanna have an election. We don't wanna sit here and appoint people to the board in the future. We want the community to decide who's gonna be appointed to the board. And that's why we're gonna do an election. We are allowed to come up here. We can appoint people tonight to fill the board positions. We want to have an election. This is the mandate that you've given the new board. So between Lisa and Jennifer, they're gonna give us our suggestions. I would say the sooner the better to get the board seated. We have a lot of things on the agenda.
And you don't have to physically be here if you sign a proxy. That counts toward quorum, so if you're going on vacation or won't be in town, just do your proxy. It
And we have-
counts toward a body count. Your vote counts toward your vote.
And we have a table full of proxies and pens, if anyone has filled one out, so please give us that. We don't want to spend thousands of dollars of your dues to do this again, right? Sorry, Lisa, Jennifer, did you want to say something?
Before we leave, we have to make a motion.
Yeah, hey, sir, before you go, we have to make one motion to the floor. Okay.
Sit down. I don't think legally need one, but the transparency is really better to do it. Just make sure everybody gets another notice with an explanation of what happened tonight, and then we proxy it.
Are you gonna use those are you gonna use those sheets next week? I mean, whenever the next meeting is?
What, proxy?
The sign-in sheets.
No, we use the proxy to do sign-in sheets.
You're gonna do the
Yeah,
sign-in
yeah,
sheets?
they're gonna sign in sheet,
Yeah, okay.
because it will be the same people that are.
I was gonna say, we were just joking a minute, that, you know, Monday's 4th of July, we're all gonna be having get-togethers with our neighbors. Just talk it up to your neighbors, I'm sure we can round up 14 more votes. Let's all do our part.
So, is there a motion on the floor to try and convene this meeting on July 6th? All in favor, show of hands, please. They're already out there. Any opposed to that motion? Thank you very much. So we're gonna, we'll handle this by e-blast as much as we can to save you those thousands of dollars that David Gordon was talking about. July 6th, 7 o'clock right here. Be there every square.
I won't be here.
And tell your neighbors we're saving thousands of dollars by not doing this again.
Oh, so we also need, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we need a couple people to help sign these certificates. You volunteering, ma'am? Jennifer? Rose and Mike will sign them. Okay,
There is one either one.
Can't put that in there.